Today, I want to talk about the 6-star champions I would rank 3. And understand there's a very important note here on I. Emphasis I. This is not a guide or anything. This is literally just a personal preference because I realized after doing my completion of Abyss of Legends, this is a very real thing I have to think about. And this list or the preference of rank 3s will change for everybody. It's really just your threshold of how good of a 6-star do you want to rank 3, or what are you thinking about when you rank 3 your 6-star, etc. For me, I have a very specific mindset of what I'm expecting out of my rank 3 6-stars, and that really affects this list here. I do think all of these champions on here probably fit somewhere on someone's bill of rank 3 6-stars, rank 3 worthy 6-stars. And, I might be missing 1 or 2 other champions on here, but I even at least put the ones I think other people might say are worth noting or worth putting on my radar here as well. But only these top ones are ones that I'd even actually consider rank 3ing. Of course, this is under the assumption that I would be able to awaken them as well, because some of these obviously need awakening, and I have them relatively in order of where my preference is. So that said, I'm going to go through class by class. I'll have timestamps for class by class to kind of explain, but let's start off with science. So in science, first and foremost is Captain America Infinity War. It's just when it comes to Cap Infinity War, even a relatively unreliable utility Cap Infinity War, I would be totally willing to sig 200 a Cap Infinity War for value. He is just one of those champions that I think is incredibly robust. When I think of champions who I would use and expect to get value out of in the long run, Cap Infinity War really fits that bill. Just having access to Petrify, Armor Break, Debuff Shrug, Unstoppable, a response to Unstoppable, really good damage, and perfect block. This guy's just got so many abilities in his kit, and the biggest parts of them honestly being perfect block, that he's just so good to use. And even on stun immunes or limbers or situations where you're not necessarily getting a parry off, you can re-parry and just get so much value out of that block proficiency from Cap Infinity War. It's just hard to not rationalize using him. Essentially, the only time that you feel like, oh, you can't really use Cap is if you legitimately can't block at all, and in those scenarios, you're listing a pretty limited roster to begin with, so it doesn't matter. Next up, I have She-Hulk. Now, the reason I would rank 3 as She-Hulk is because I don't have a She-Hulk at the moment, and I would expect to use She-Hulk in Abyss of Legends. There are a number of fights she can solo and one-shot, so if I happen to get one at a right time, I would be willing to rank 3 her just to make Abyss of Legends faster, and recognize that, I do get that slow and that poison immune and kind of taunt champion, which is something I don't have. I don't really have a proper taunter yet on my roster, so I would be happy to invest those resources into a She-Hulk. Next up is Red Guardian. He kind of fits the similar concept of Cap Infinity War. I just value Cap Infinity War and She-Hulk more than Red Guardian. I feel like Cap has more of a variety offered to him, and She-Hulk fits a part of a roster that I don't have. Red Guardian I can already kind of match. I do have a 5-star version of Cap Infinity War I could meet here. I don't feel the need to pull the trigger on a rank 3 Red Guardian, mostly because I run suicides, and it doesn't look the most suicide friendly to me. He definitely can handle it. The damage numbers are there that you're not worried too much about it, but I'd still rather rank up someone more friendly. And then finally on this list is Thing. This is purely a prestige thing. I'm not I know my alliance isn't hardcore pressuring me to rank up for prestige, but it's something that I take pride in. It's something that I appreciate, especially since I know I'm a whale, and I know high prestige values are something that could potentially come my way just by playing the game long enough and being the pay-to-play player that I am, or pay-to-win if you want to call it that. I don't think I'm quite pay to win yet, but we're definitely pushing the bill. So yeah, if I could awaken my Thing, I'd be happy to rank 3 him, work on sig 200 him. He'd get value on defense. I'd be able to use him in a number of attacker situations. He's definitely an all-around value use. The only reason he's this far down on the list, despite the high prestige and the high value in longevity, is because I have a 5-star Thing awakened in sig 120 or something. So I'm not too hyped on rank 3ing a Thing, but hey, I do have a 6-star Thing. It could happen one day. As far as worth noting, I have Human Torch, Gulk, Mr. Fantastic, and Void. All 4 of these have really, really great utility value, but none of them feel like champions I absolutely need the extra stats on as a 6-star. Maybe Void, if I felt the need to use him more in Abyss of Legends, but I feel like I'll be using Human Torch for the most part, and I think one path I'll be bringing Void. I'll stick to my 5-star, you know, get him as high a sig as possible or convenient, and call it a day from there. So next I'll move on to skill, and this is what I think a lot of people might not be surprised by me, but might argue against. Elsa is actually my #1 rank 3 6-star skill champion, and the reason for that is Elsa's biggest value to me is an auto fight. And what holds me back from utilizing Elsa in higher tier content, namely uncollected content, as an auto fight champion is stats. Like, she just doesn't dish enough damage within the first 3 evades for me to like get value out of her as an auto fight. But if I could get that extra bit of stat numbers on her, I could push an extra couple of quests. And I know that sounds like really, really petty, but that is a month-to-month usage case that I would get out of Elsa every single time. I already use her as a defender, so having extra stats there would be nice. The scenarios where I do use her as an attacker, her biggest like value is in bursting opponents down, so having extra stats there would be really clutch on her. And overall, I just really love this champion, so having Elsa as a skill is my priority rank up. After that is Aegon. This is strictly dependent on being able to get a 6-star Aegon awakened, and like I do have 6 stones for him, so I'd be able to get him to like 80 or so before I 100% Abyss of Legends. Because bringing Aegon rank 3 into Abyss of Legends makes it so much easier. I doubt I'll have that scenario, but so long as I haven't 100% AOL, Aegon is up here as my #2 skill to rank up. After that, I know you can use him in Act 6 content, and I'm sure he'll have a ton of value in Book 2, Act 1, etc. But because I feel like I could just use my 5-star in those scenarios, he will immediately depreciate in value after I have 100% Abyss of Legends. At #3 is Stealth Suit Spider-Man, just because he's got really good utility, but this is primarily a prestige thing. He ranks this high up because of prestige and because of where I value the other ones beneath him, so I don't feel the need to describe that too much. After that is Black Widow Deadly Origins. This is pure preference. Straight up, I gotta put my favorite champion, my favorite character in the MCOC universe up here. You know, this is Black Widow at like actually relevant utility. Maybe not the world's largest use case, but I would do it. I would still do it. If I had an Awakened Black Widow Deadly Origins as a 6-star, she would go to rank 3 because I just like the character. That's it. That's the only reason. She does have niche utility, but that's honestly the primary reason. And then finally, Nick Fury. This one, you know, this one goes without explanation. Just big damage numbers. As far as worth noting, Hitmonkey, Ronin, and Killmonger are all 3 champions I definitely think are worth rank 3ing. Hitmonkey might be up there. I need to watch enough gameplay to really think about it. I know Legacy rank 3 his Hitmonkey recently. Personally, I don't know if I would do it. I definitely see the value. I just, you know, I'm not into the champion. Like, I think it's funny and I think it's humorous, but Hitmonkey to me is kind of like Squirrel Girl. Like, it's cool, it's neat, I think it adds flavor to the game, but that's not someone I want to be playing super often. So yeah, just kind of, you know, personal preference knocking him down for me. That said, I'll move into Mutant. So as far as Mutant goes, first up, top and foremost, is Colossus. And the reason for that is I don't foresee myself dumping a lot of signature stones into the Mutant class as a 6-star. Like, most of these mutants don't really need high sig, except for Sunspot for prestige, and Omega Red for value, which is why Omega Red is so low. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if I had an Awakened Colossus, I would get an insane amount of value really fast, wouldn't have to worry about sigging him up too high, and then I would just have this absolute beast, this suicide friendly, hard damage hitting, awesome potion farming, really, really good in Alliance Quest and Alliance War champion. And I would love to have that value in Colossus, so by far he takes the cake for me as the #1 mutant. After that is Havoc, and the reason for this is because I would be able to use Havoc in War. I think Havoc is really, really going to be clutch in a lot of these War scenarios, as well as just having kind of like rounding out the roster. Like, I have Namor, I have an Omega Red, but I don't really have a high ranked Havoc. I have, I think, a rank 4 Havoc as a 5-star, but not quite rank 5. I just haven't been willing to pull the trigger yet. I have so many other mutants I'd rather rank up first. first. And because I think a 6-star Havoc, while having the Awakened ability is nice, I don't think it's worth dumping 200 SIGs. So this would be a pretty low SIG investment 6-star rank up, which is something I really highly consider, considering the kind of like scarcity of 6-star Sig Stones currently in the game. After that is Domino. Domino, same scenario. I have a rank 3 Domino at the moment, so if I could get a 6-star Awakened Domino, I would absolutely love to have that as a rank 3 just because of crazy damage output. And the scenarios where I'd be able to use Domino, she'd still make a great defender, although that may or may not work out since I know someone in my battle group recently duped their 6-star Domino, so she might drop as I realize that, you know, diversity, I might not get the defense value out of her, but at the moment she sits at number 3. Fourth is Omega Red. I really want to rank 3 this guy. Like, I have a mutant gem, he's awakened, he's sitting at Sig 20, and I just can't bring myself to pull the trigger. It's just kind of scenario based, you know. I don't use him in Alliance Quest, even though he's got a ton of value there. My paths they're just in map 6, Captain Marvel movie cheese with Nick Fury and Deadpool X-Force, and in map 7 I'm bringing like Clairvoyant and Warlock and Ghost and Quake, and never ever bringing Omega Red. So I don't want to rank him up if I'm not going to use him in AQ. I never really used him in A War, and if I'm going to use him in Alliance War, I would want to sig him up. And he's just a huge sig sink for just relevancy. Like, I feel like you're investing so many resources just to push damage numbers, and that's not what I want. Like, it feels good to sig up a Captain America Infinity War because you're getting utility, but when you sig up Omega, you're getting damage, and for me, I don't value damage when I'm awakening and sigging up champions. I want to see utility out of my Sig Stones. It just feels better. Preference, I understand, but that is my preference. Next up is Sunspot. This is Prestige. That's it. As far as 2 mutants I think worth or noting are Emma Frost and Namor. In some alternate universe, I would have a 6-star Awakened Namor and would have the resources to sig 200, in which case I would do this guy for Prestige. But he's probably not even on my radar at the moment. And then Emma Frost, because this is a champion I just finally recently pulled as a 5-star. I really like her like utility and value. She is suicide friendly. She has prowess buffs, which is nice. And she just does a lot of really good work. But I do think these other 5 champions just have more value than her. So she's on my list, but not quite there yet. But she might move up. We'll move up on to Tech from there. So Tech, without doubt, is Ghost. I mean, yeah. AQ, A War, would love to have a 6-star Awakened Ghost. I have a Tech gem for her, Tech Awakening gem. So if I pull as a Ghost, you know that is straight up my first rank 3 Tech, no doubt. After that is Guillotine 2099. I'm at the point where I'd rather have a rank 3 unawakened Guillotine 2099 than a 5-star awakened one. I don't value her awakened ability too much. It's nice, it's good, it's definitely something I think is nice to have, but I don't think it's necessary, and so I'd rather have the higher stats, since for me this rank up is primarily for war. And once flow stops being the problem, once I need to stop worrying about critting and stuff, then Guillotine 2099 immediately loses value, but at the moment she sits at number 2. Next up is Warlock, the man of the hour. He is just an absolute beast utility-wise. I don't think I need to justify too much his value, except for maybe like explaining why he's under Guillotine 2099 and Ghost. And that reason is because I do value the high signature level that I'm going to push on my 5-star. I think that because Warlock's best matchups are like Mr. Sinister and Havoc, these matchups where you're proccing his awakened ability over and over again. And yes, it's really small damage numbers, but when it's literally active the entire fight, it's a lot of damage. Like, a lot of damage over time. And because of that, I'm not like too keen on awakening and high sigging a Warlock as a 6-star, especially since I know I really want to save my awakening gem for Ghost. So that kind of draws like I would probably rank 2 a Warlock, but wouldn't rank 3, and I would just wait it out for Ghost and pray one day I pulled her. As far as worth noting, Doc Ock, Mysterio, and Sentinel, all 3 of these champions have really good utility and are really powerful in the game. I just think they're strictly outclassed by these other 3, arguably except for Guillotine 2099, but that is a war rank up, notably my priority listing. So that's why I have them down there. I think it's just two completely different tiers. And that moves me into Cosmic. So here I have Corvus Glaive at top. And the reason Corvus Glaive is my priority rank 3 for Cosmic is because I feel like Corvus Glaive's value and his ability to burst fights. Whereas like Brie Larson, who is the same concept, right? All about bursting opponents down very quickly. You can get away with not blowing up an opponent on your first special 2 with Brie. You can parry heavy, you can re-ramp, you still get a lot of good value, and her like burst window, while short initially, can be extended fairly long. Whereas Corvus Glaive really wants to do it within the first 20 charges. So having those extra stats on a Corvus Glaive, like, that's where it comes in the most important. So of course he sits there as my first priority. It also helps a lot that I have a 5-star Max Sig 200 Brie Larson, and I don't have a Corvus Glaive as a 5 or 6 star. So that is definitely a factor. Silver Surfer for Prestige, again, not above selling out on Prestige. And then Venom and Venom the Duck are both on the radar as champions I recognize, definitely have value, but again, we're talking completely different classes. And then finally, Mystic. So I only have 2 champions in Mystic that I would immediately rank 3. That is Claire and Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom because, of course, defense value. But the reason Claire is above Doom is because I run Suicides, because I know I would get more value out of Claire in the long run, and because I like Claire better. Period. But these two I think are definitely in a class of their own when it comes to Mystic. Undoubtedly, both are worth rank 3 in my opinion. Claire especially, since the higher stats means more damage, means more healing, and Doom just because of the quantity of use cases you would have for him, as well as the defense value as well. Claire does have defense value as well. I just argue Doom has more. And then worth noting, Longshot, Mojo, Sorcerer Supreme, Symbiote Supreme, and Morningstar. Now, I feel like Longshot and Mojo are both very good, but the only reason I would rank 3 a Mojo personally is for defense, because I don't foresee myself using him very often, and that I don't have enough information on Longshot to really know where I place him personally. Like, I know he's good, but I feel like the use case for Longshot is significantly less frequent than Claire and Doom. After that, we've got Sorcerer Supreme and Symbiote Supreme. And the reason they're down here as well is because I feel like the scenarios where you use these 2 champions, a rank 2 would be perfectly fine. Symbiote Supreme, maybe rank 3 for War, but honestly, in those scenarios, I just use Claire most of the time instead, and when I would use Symbiote Supreme, it's a perfectly fine rank 2 option. And so overall, it's just because I'm using Claire more often, I have him down here. But both of these champions also definitely worth considering. And then finally, Morningstar. For me, I recognize the insane power of Morningstar. I really do. I just hate how long it takes to get the value out of her and the ramp up. That's something I don't like doing. Like, obviously, I'm impatient. I run the, attrition masteries for faster damage to get through fights faster. So yeah, that's it. These are the 6 stars I would rank 3. Sorry it was lengthy. Maybe it was a very repetitive. It felt repetitive to me, but it is. It's just a really simple concept. My priorities are War, then Alliance Quest, and then overall long-term value. And then, as well as like daily use. It's all about daily use. Who are you going to use the most? And I'm not impatient. Like, when it comes to rank ups, I don't mind waiting. I will wait for the rank up I want, because I know that with this Mutant gem, this Mutant tier 5 class catalyst, like, if I rank 3 my Omega Red, like, I'm probably not getting another Mutant tier 5 class catalyst for like 6 months to a year at least. Same with Tech. Like, if I pulled Warlock tomorrow and I awakened him and brought him up to rank 2, like, there's no way I'm duping Ghost for at least a year. So, like, there's a huge emphasis on these top 6 for me. And then everything below that, it starts to get tougher and tougher and tougher. That said, that's my logic. Feel free to comment. Let me know what you think. Maybe there's champions who aren't on here and you feel like they need to be on my radar. Maybe you think I've got my priorities all wrong, or maybe you agree and you ranked 3'd and you waited, or maybe you pulled the trigger earlier just to get value earlier, because there is something to be said for waiting too long. But hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.